Well, hi, my name is Adam Gray. I am here with Seth Grube and Nicole Armstrong, who are playing Jack Kelly and Catherine Plummer in the upcoming Stagecrafters musical Disney's Newsies. I'm pretty sure we have to say Disney's beforehand, right? I think that's part of the rules.
Knowing Disney, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Well, I'm here with both of them to talk a little bit about the show and their backgrounds, how they approach the show, and I am really excited for this conversation. Hello to the both of you.
Hello, how are
Hi,
you?
I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, so let's talk about the show. Seth, what's the general synopsis and outline of the show and the plot?
Yeah, it takes place in 1899 in New York City, where there's this group of Newsies that go on this strike against Joseph Pulitzer after he raises the prices of the newsboys' expense. That's a simple synopsis of the show.
Yeah. And Nicole, we had been talking before we recorded about the connection to history here.
Yes, and I think that it's very loosely based off of true events, which I think is really cool about this musical because not a lot of musicals can say that. And the true events that happened in the early 20th century about child labor laws and unions and a lot of the laws that we have today kind of root themselves back to this movement and the strike that happened then.
So let's talk about characters and how they fit into that. That's, of course, part of how the storytelling gets layered onto the history. Seth, you're playing Jack Kelly, who is the lead role of the show. He has some distinct parts of his personality. Who is Jack Kelly and what makes him stand out?
Yeah, so Jack Kelly, I would describe as this very rebellious yet charismatic newsboy who oftentimes kind of gets a little in over his head at times. But he also kind of goes through a point in life where he's been living in New York City for way too long, and he wants to move to an area where he'll feel like he'll live a bigger life. And the way that he sees that is that he feels like he can live a bigger life in a smaller town because New York is kind of a little too big for him, which is where his obsession with Santa Fe comes from. But he also kind of learns throughout the show what it means to really be a true leader for this group of Newsies as the show kind of progresses and how he's sort of found like a newfound family by the end.
That's lovely. You, as an actor portraying this role, you have a lot to do on stage, I believe, right?
Yeah. So I think I remember going through the script. I think I counted there's only 4 scenes that I'm not in. And I have joked with people before that my favorite parts of the show are those 4 scenes. But yeah, Jack Kelly really does do quite a lot in the show. And I've learned very quickly that it's a pretty demanding role, but I very much enjoyed playing this role. It's so fun. I love it.
Nicole, your character, Catherine Plummer, her background is a little different than Jack's. What drives her? What's important to her as a character?
Her background is complete opposite of Jack's. She comes from a much more wealthy position and wealthy status in life. And for her, I think that she's kind of a little bit of maybe a black sheep of a lot of people who from like her typical background. She doesn't want to just be a rich girl who sits on the sidelines. She wants to be involved. She wants to have like care and passion in what she does. And she is a journalist. And so again, the fact she's working, whoa. Crazy for the time, guys. And as she's working as a journalist, she's the one who is reporting what is happening with the Newsies. And I think that she takes such care and detail in what she's doing because she sort of becomes involved with them. And she's finding like this new found family.
Let's talk about the rehearsal process, the sort of behind the scenes, how we make the magic happen. I just watched the end of a rehearsal before we recorded this, and it strikes me that we could call this Knee Pads the Musical. Why is that? Why is everyone wearing knee pads?
This is a very dance-heavy show. There's obviously a lot of great songs, but the main aspect that everybody takes away is that it's very, very dance-heavy. And there are quite a lot of moments where we are on our knees a lot, and I unfortunately kind of found out a little bit too late because it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks into rehearsals when I did all of those dances without knee pads. So it was on that last day where I figured out that like okay, maybe I should bring in knee pads one day and see how it goes. And it makes a huge difference. So if you see us moving around on our knees a lot, expect to see knee pads.
Nicole, you have some of your own dancing to do in this show, I think, right?
Yes, not as much as the Newsies. Round of applause to all of them and how much dancing they've done. They are absolutely incredible. But there is a big tap number that is at the beginning of Act 2 that I fortunately get to be a part of, which makes me very excited because I first came to the theater world generally as a dancer. And so for me personally, very excited to get the opportunity to tap again. And it's a great number. It's lots of fun.
Yeah. Now, both of these roles are triple threats, if you will. There's acting, singing, dancing, as we were just talking about, which means there's a lot to remember and memorize in each of those categories.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you get that into your bones? How do you really rehearse that?
Yes, that's true. I'm definitely much more of in my process of doing repetition, and again, repetition. And again, too, because of the dancer background, muscle memory is definitely something that helps with me too. But overall, just repetition. If I think that I should do it again, we should probably do it again. And doing it so much to the point where it's like, I don't have to think about it. And that's when I feel like, okay, all right, we can still take in criticism and critiques. But from there, once we don't have to think about the lines and think about the choreography and we can just turn it on instantly, that's when we're well prepared.
The audience only ever sees the very tip of the iceberg on the number of times that you've done this. In fact, your fellow performers in rehearsal only ever see the tip of the iceberg many times because there's so much work at home. Seth, you have a certain amount of yelling. Maybe Jack Kelly is a quadruple threat: singing, acting, dancing, screaming.
Yeah.
How do you balance that with your vocal health, your stamina, your energy for the show?
So there's a couple things that I kind of look into when I run into situations like that. The first thing that I'll do is I'll dissect the scene in parts of which parts am I actually screaming in. And then I kind of have to decipher when it feels comfortable for me to either go full voice in that moment or if I need to head voice or falsetto it, because sometimes a scene can be a little bit too busy for you to go full voice. So a lot of the time you would naturally want to go falsetto or head voice, because at that point you're not really killing your vocal cords, but at the same time you're still conveying that emotion that you're trying to get across. And that's especially relevant for, and maybe this is a bit of a spoiler, but like towards the end of Act 1, Jack Kelly is very active, I would say is probably the best word I could describe it. But
he gets into a fight. We can say it.
He does get into a fight. There's a lot of things happening at the very end of Act 1 where there's a bunch of me screaming, and at the same time, there's a bunch of dancing. And like I said, there's a big fight at the end. So there's a lot of these events that kind of gets in Jack Kelly's head. And as a performer, I typically would try to see what my character kind of sees in that moment. And I try to portray how I would react in those certain situations. And in a way, there's a bit of that energy that kind of goes into that last number that almost amplifies the emotion of the scene, I guess. And to me, at least, when there's more emotion added to a scene, it almost feels like it's a bit more, I don't want to say comfortable for my voice, but like there's a mindset that I can go to when I go to those.
You can ride the momentum.
Yes.
It's remarkable that you have to do your big Mama Rose moment right after you have done so much singing, dancing, moving, stage combat. But hey, not everyone listening was at rehearsal to see it, but I was just now. It works. You really ought to come see it. It really hits. So I do want to hear a bit about each of your backgrounds, kind of what brought you here to Stagecrafters or to the theater in general. Nicole, what is your story in the lead up to this show?
I generally probably started being in musicals when I was like middle school-ish. And then when I was in college, I was originally a musical theater major and then I switched out of it. But ever since I left college, it was like, okay, this is something that's still a passion of mine. And I've kind of been in and out of different community theaters post-college, depending on where I lived. And I first did a show at Stagecrafters. Oh God, it was like shortly before the pandemic. And I did Oklahoma Classic and Ragtime. And I actually didn't know a lot about Ragtime before I had auditioned. It was just kind of a few of my friends I had made in Oklahoma were auditioning. So I was like, sure, absolutely. And it felt like such an honor to be a part of it and to be able to experience that and share that with the community.
Wonderful. And Seth, how about you? What are some of the bigger, more impactful, important shows in your history?
Yeah, so I also kind of started also around middle school. This was around a time where I was actually more of a sports kid. I almost kind of looked at musical theater as like, yeah, this is cool, but yeah, this is interesting, but it wasn't until I was maybe in like 7th grade or something where my middle school was doing Thoroughly Modern Millie Jr. And it just, I don't know what exactly drew me into that world or that show, but that's where I decided, okay, I'm just going to audition and see where it lands me. And then I ended up enjoying the process so much that I ended up doing all of the shows in high school and did more outside of high school in my college years. And then I remember the last show that I did before the pandemic ever hit us, the last completed production that I could do was a production of Mary Poppins. And then after that, I went to audition and got casted actually in a production of Bear, a pop opera.
I love Bear. I'm sorry.
It's a good show. It's really good.
I know. It's so good. The music's so pretty.
It's a little depressing, but it's really good.
But like the music's really good and it's delightful. So
it is.
If you haven't looked into the musical Bear, highly recommend it.
And so I got casted in that and we got through our first read through and then boom, the pandemic hit us. So we ended up having to go through online rehearsals on Zoom calls for maybe like a month. And it was by that point where we realized, yeah, this really isn't going to work out. So we actually never got to perform it. And then after that, I ended up coming back to Stagecrafters in 2024, but that was not my first time at Stagecrafters. I had done a show with them before in 2017 when they put up Sister Act. But then after that, I came back to Stagecrafters in 2024 when they were doing Children of Eden. And at that point, I felt like I just found like so much community in that production. I mean, there was just so many lovely people. I've still talked to a lot of my friends from Children of Eden today. After that, I told myself like, okay, I want to keep doing theater. Theater is my home. Theater is what makes me happy. So I went on to audition for Rent, which is where I met a lot more people.
Kashia was amazing.
Kashia
and I, we were wives in falsettos once upon a time. She was my first wife. Yes, we're very close.
Yeah, so shout outs to Kashia.
Yes.
But then after that, I went on to perform in Joseph, which Stagecrafters performed last year. And then it was around that time that I was doing Joseph that I heard that Stagecrafters was going to be doing Newsies. And that was the one where I was just like, okay, I'm glad that all these other theaters are doing all these other shows, but like Newsies is what I was kind of going for. Like Newsies was the one. You know
and
what
I'll
I mean?
be all.
And that'll be all. Like, take it or leave it.
Seth, I met you when we worked on Rent together, and I think I have told you this, but you have been Jack Kelly to me since I met you. So I cannot wait to see this show.
Oh, I appreciate that.
It's going to be something very special. I want to close up here just talking about the life outside the theater, maybe some other memories and stories and things we spend our time on. Nicole, you had told me about an interesting project you did near the end of your college degree that I think could be interesting to share.
Yeah. So when I switched out of a musical theater degree at Oakland, I switched to a double major in graphic design and studio art. At the end of your classes, you have a big thesis. And because of my background in theater, a lot of that ended up showing up in a lot of my studio art projects throughout my college time. And so the final semester, it's a self-assigned studio art thing. And you have a show at the end of it in the university gallery. And what I did was I created a different persona. And I would go to class as this person. She had like her own YouTube and like little different social channels. And this was at the rise. This was in about like 2013, 2014, the rise of like social media influencers. And she kind of was this mockery of these social media influencers. And so it was a little bit of the commentary of the time and also this like question of identity and like how much of yourself is on social media or not. Yeah, it was a very fun process. A couple of my friends, they said sometimes that they were sad when I would come to class as my other persona because then they didn't get to talk to me. And I was like, so yeah.
You really were absorbed into that character.
I committed. Like if I showed up as her name was Bailey, if I showed up as Bailey, like I was Bailey. Nicole did not exist that day.
So what you're saying is at rehearsals, I should start calling you Bailey from now on.
No, you don't want to meet Bailey. She's kind of annoying.
Okay.
She's kind of annoying.
Have you considered maybe for one dress rehearsal portraying Catherine as Bailey as yourself?
That sounds gross. No. Plus, Jack definitely would not be Bailey's type. She can be a little pretentious and like a newsie. Like he's gonna be dirty and he's like poor. Like no.
Bailey would have declined the role.
Yeah,
she would have declined the role.
Yeah. No. She wouldn't have done good. No.
Bailey sounds like maybe she would much rather be in a production of Mean Girls or Heathers, or maybe she's just not a theater person.
Yeah, although she's kind of a little much, and I don't think she could actually have the work ethic to be in a musical. But in general, Heathers and Mean Girls is probably more up her alley for sure.
If she could phone it in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seth, I know you have had an eventful outside of theater life over the past year or so. Where do you spend most of your time outside of rehearsal?
Yeah, so a lot of the time when I'm not at rehearsal, I am either going out door dashing. So if anybody's ordering DoorDash out in the Farmington area, you know where to find me.
They're going to request you now after this.
Outside of that, is I want to spend as much time with my beautiful baby daughter, Ophelia, as much as I can. She was born back in September. This was after I had finished Joseph. And I said I was going to take about a year off of theater so that I could focus more on raising my baby girl, my daughter. It's really been quite an interesting experience doing theater now as a new father. You tend to, for me at least, I don't know if this is everybody, but you tend to feel a bit more tired after rehearsal and a bit more worn out when coming home, especially when my character is just screaming every like 2 scenes in the show. But I mean, taking care of Ophelia has been quite a journey. It's been some of the best moments of my life, probably the best moment of my life. I mean, I would do anything for her. She's just absolutely amazing. So that's normally what I would do.
That is wonderful. And, again, this is not a video podcast necessarily, so we're not going to have a montage, but yeah, Seth, you're every time I see pictures of Ophelia on social media, it's just absolutely beautiful.
She is absolutely she absolutely loves the camera. She loves the camera. I was trying to figure out what the term of it was, but
gonna grow up to be just like Dad, huh?
Yes, she is.
Well, I can say I am certainly glad you were able to make peace with being in a show, even during the wee first year of your daughter's life. And I think you're making it count. This is going to be a high energy, a great show. If you're listening and wondering whether you should get your tickets, please do. The show opens on May 29th and it runs through June 14th. The Sunday shows are matinees, and there are actually Saturday matinees on 2 of the Saturdays, June 6th and 13th. So 13 chances to see it. Don't miss it.
Watch What Happened. There's a song that's the title, Watch What Happened. So
come watch us.
Yes.
Seize the day.
That's a good one too.
Watch you be the kings of New York or something like that.
There's
Right?
so many good song
There's so many good one-liners.
There is.
You'll be tap dancing your way out of the theater. Anything else the two of you would like to share before we sign off?
I mean, come see the show. Get your tickets. They are actually selling out pretty fast. So definitely get your tickets before they're gone.
I think it was like 60% sold already or something like that. Yeah, pretty close.
Pretty close. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely get those. Yeah, for sure. Again, it's stagecrafters.org.
Stagecrafters.org. That's where you can get your tickets. And of course, Stagecrafters is on all the social medias and so on if you want to follow. It's probably where you found this, frankly. So you probably already follow. But thank you very much, Seth and Nicole. It was great to speak to you both with this. Everybody come see Newsies. Bye.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.